So I am back on here because now, and I'm going to give you guys some time to come back. Thanks for coming back and joining me. I get into these deep discussions and it's hard for me to stop. Thanks for coming back and joining me. I'm also upset because the last live that I had, I do not believe that it was shared. It wasn't shared on here, and I'm pretty sad if I didn't save it so that people can come back on the replay. I thought it was pretty good, that the conversation was pretty good. So thanks for coming back and joining me. I've done a lot of talking around discipline and what I do, alternatives, why spanking feels unhealthy, and I'm curious to know if you guys have any questions from the last live. Give me some feedback, or let's talk about what you're doing on the other end. Tell me what you think possibly about some of the things and concepts that I said. Let's begin to have a discussion regarding the topic. Soon as someone posts feedback or question, we will get into it. Like, I'm gonna be so sad if my last live did not save. I tell you, you can't live with these phones and you can't live without them. All right. So my girl Felice asked, can you go over the breathing exercises for the calm corner? What other activities in more details? So what's important for calming corners is that you use tools that your kids believe help calm down their bodies. So in some kids' calm down corners, it might be deep breaths. Deep breaths, although they're good for all people, are not everyone's go-to when needing to feel calm again. So you have to begin to recognize the tools that your child uses and begin to prep them and equip them with the understanding of what helps them calm their body. So for Carter specifically, she likes water, and she likes cold water, and she will ask, I need some water. I think for her, maybe the shock of the cold water or something in her body, it literally cools down her system. So I know that she'll always need water. Honestly, she keeps water in her room. Like, she has a water bottle filled with water that she just keeps in her room. Kennedy, for instance, loves to journal. She loves to color, and so we gift her a lot of coloring books and markers and different tools so that she has the opportunity to do that. But breathing exercises specifically, I talked last time about bee breaths, making it fun and creative, making sure that kids are breathing in their nose and out of their mouth. Sometimes in calming corners, there'll be some manipulatives that you can use for your hands. Another great calming strategy is essential oils, smells, because I know that our brains can connect regulation with sensory integration, which is anything that uses the senses: sight, smell, touch. So music, things that are textile, the lighting. Sometimes dark lighting helps the body stay calm. If you have any more questions about that, obviously we can talk when we see each other, but do look on Google and type in calm down spaces. You will be amazed to see how many women have beautiful spaces that they've created, or classrooms that are created to help children calm their bodies. Someone asks, I would like to know how parents should handle their anger and model consistently good anger management and compromising. Well, how you should handle your anger, first of all, you want to try to do that as healthy as possible, but that really is different dependent upon the person. You know, how I handle my anger is different from how you possibly may handle your anger. But what I do say is model what you want to see of that your kids do. So if you're asking your child to go take deep breaths, or you're asking your child to walk away, or to use tools, then I'm going to ask you as an adult to be an example and use some of those tools. Find out exactly what works for you. The same way that we're prepping our children is the same way that we should be prepping ourselves, because it's interchangeable. The more work invested you are into cultivating good humans, the more work you're doing to cultivate and empower yourself. My journey through motherhood has only allowed me to be a better woman, because I've learned beside them. I didn't know this information. These are things that I have become equipped with through my parenting journey. So the things that we're requesting from our children, we then have to practice that ourselves. As far as compromising, it also is dependent on your family and the goals that you have. What things are important for you? What are things that don't waver? Things that you feel like is a baseline and you're not willing to increase or decrease from that, and work from that place. If you're a parent who is okay with certain things, then you're going to come with your children differently than a parent who wouldn't agree with those things. Regardless, make sure it's something that you feel okay with, and that is best to meet the needs of yourself and for your family. Someone asked, as a child, were you disciplined in a way that you are parenting your children? Is my mama on here? No, honestly, me and my mom had this conversation all the time. My mom did not give me or my brothers a lot of spankings. When I think about my mom, I believe she was more passive than authoritative. When I say passive, my mom is very emotional driven. It literally hurt her to see her kids be, well, my perception is that she felt bad when she felt like she needed to spank us. Or if we were crying, she would oftentimes possibly give in to us because it made her feel uneasy, and it was easier for her to just give in, which I don't always agree with. So honestly, I don't parent from that place. I appreciate that she didn't spank me. I think she told me she spanked me once, and she didn't feel good about it, and she never spanked me again. She also says that I was, not to toot my own horn, but she also says that I was a good child, and so I didn't need a lot of discipline. I was pretty compliant. I just always wanted to do the right thing. I think that still carries though, because I am a person who tends to do the right thing because I know it's the right thing to do, which is probably why my calling is social work, because I'm trying to help people make good choices. But I will say that I do parent differently because I was able to recognize the faults in which I was parented. Because that's what we should do as each generation passes, we should be able to objectively look at previous generations and say what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to change, because all cycles aren't good cycles. And you have to have the ability to learn if it's good or not. And you know innately as a human what feels good and what doesn't. And you have to use that so that we save future generations from trauma. Trauma from parenting from an unhealthy place. Trauma from being from having maybe a slave mentality to believe that harm and whoopings and beatings mean compliance. Now that's deep, because that is not right. And I'm not going to pass that down because I know it ain't right. You know better, you do better. Someone asked, I find that sometimes when they push me and it triggers me to be more upset than is warranted, how do I learn to back down and engage in good discipline again? So I talked a little bit about this in the live before this. Don't engage in arguments. When you feel that your child is getting you off kilter, it is your responsibility as an adult to disengage. Do not go into battles. Choose your battles wisely, because what result is warranted when you are allowing your child to take you there? Usually what happens is you begin to parent from a place of frustration and intolerance. And so if you want to use good discipline, then learn to walk away, talk to yourself or your partner to say, how do I re-engage where I'm gonna do it right? Is it that I just need to save this for later or whatever? But being able to understand what things need, what battles do I need to fight today? And if I can walk away from some of those and still feel empowered or in power, then that's good. Because sometimes I think when we walk away as adults, we feel like we've lost. Like they won, they got what they wanted, I'm not engaging. But really, you're still in control. You're still in control because you haven't allowed them to make you feel off kilter. Someone asked, how about a coping mechanism such as Lego building? My son is 6, but I noticed that when he builds, he is at an all-time peaceful state. Let him build. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you found something that allows him to feel calm, especially something that is play-based, which is Lego building, which builds concepts of math and construction and science and engineering, I'm going to ask you to continue to feed that into your son. That is his thing. That is his thing. And that's awesome that you've noticed that as a parent, that is his thing. And that you're willing to use that as a tool so that he can feel more at peace. Congrats, I'm proud of you. My girl Fee asks, good versus bad, especially when it comes to discipline. Can you talk about the words used when disciplining your child? So I am very keen to the language that we use in moments of disciplining our children. I do not like the word good or bad because I have a lot of kids that I work with who really believe that they are bad kids, that they were born on this earth to be bad. And they do not feel like they are worthy enough or worthy of being good, and so they show themselves by being bad. You think I'm bad? I'm going to show you I'm bad. If all you think of me is that I'm not doing the right thing, I'm going to show you I'm doing the wrong, that I can continue to do the wrong thing. And so I really try to be aware of the language I'm using. What I like to say is this was a challenging moment. And I like to talk about moments because a tantrum or a time when your kid is not complying is not all day. It sometimes, I guess, can feel like all day, but if you really measure it, there's moments in time where your child is having an issue or a challenging moment. You work through that moment and you continue to get through your day. And I like to talk about how as adults we have challenging moments through our day. We don't feel at our happy place all day long. We also have moments when we get off kilter as adults. Those moments don't define my day. Me having a bad review at work does not define all the work that I did all day. That is one moment. I will get through that moment. I will pick myself back up and I will show up as my best self again or retreat. So please, yes, be aware of the language you're using, whether it be language of saying good or bad or challenging moments, unhealthy, healthy, but making sure that you are aware of the words. Our children really carry the words with them. They're so impactful. I know a lot of the messaging around children is words matter. It's true. Words matter even more because our children are trying to fill their vocabulary. They're learning how to speak, literally. If we use language that sounds harshful, then our children will begin to use that learned behavior as well. And so we have to empower them, to feed them positivity, to allow them to know that it's okay to have bad moments throughout your day. It doesn't define who you are. It doesn't make you bad. What is good versus bad, more so right versus wrong, and things in that nature. Someone says, my 2-year-old is hitting, pulling hair at play dates, classes, library. It's been exhausting. I try and take her away from the situation, tell her it isn't okay, and try a timeout. But she literally smiles, laughs, doesn't get it. She knows it isn't okay, and sometimes it's totally unwarranted. She will sometimes just do it. Other times it's just because of a toy. I just don't know how to help her. I try to talk, and I don't want to yell. I just need some advice. Thank you for having the courage to speak up. That's a very personal story. And I appreciate your honesty. First of all, she's 2, so I'm sure her language is a little bit delayed in the fact that she's not able to communicate all of her needs. I always question parents when you have a negative behavior that you're seeing is to try to get to the root cause of why your child is doing it. Not just the behavior itself, so not she's just touching hair when I'm telling her not to, but why is it that my daughter is touching someone's hair? Is that soothing for her? Does she like the texture? Is she trying to get someone's attention? Is that her way of saying I like you or I want to be friends with you? Is it because of the lack of knowledge of personal boundaries or space? When you get to the root cause and when you really start asking yourself the why to the behavior, that's when you can go in and do the best intervention, because what you're going to do is try to target the why. If it's because she likes the texture of hair and it helps her feel soothed, and she just likes to, it being soft or whatever the case may be, then I'm going to replace that. I'm going to give her something to continue to get the feeling, but not be touching other people. If it's because she has lack of understanding of boundaries, then I'm going to practice and teach her how to set boundaries in personal space and what that looks like, even at 2 years old. Begin talking to her and having language around, is that a safe space? Encouraging other kids to say, I don't like that, allowing her to understand that kids are asking her to set a boundary. Really begin to try to look at the root cause of the behavior. And not allowing your 2-year-old to get you off kilter. If your 2-year-old is making you feel like you need to yell, then you as an adult need to step away and recalibrate and come back feeling like your best self and having the ability to control your tone of voice. I hope that helps. Abigail. Someone said, how do you stay present in the moment and move forward? I'm not always present. There are times where my mind is different places, but I am intentional about making sure that I am present in the moments that matter most and that I am present even at all. So if I have a day where I have a lot of adulting to do, I make sure that I'm setting a boundary and I'm making sure that I am intentional about saying I'm going to walk away from this for however long, and I'm going to delve into being present in the moment and with my children and with my husband and with my family. And so I challenge myself. I put it on the books. I put it in my schedule, like I put everything in my schedule to be present, to stop and smell the roses per se, and to know that you add value to different pieces of your life, and that when we are present is when we have the ability to acknowledge the here and now, and that we should value that, because sometimes we get so stuck on other things. Someone asked, my almost 2-year-old likes to challenge us at home. She likes to climb and sit on the table any chance she gets, throwing anything off. I try to redirect her and set boundaries when she is doing it. Well, I think you're doing a good job. You should set boundaries, and redirecting is awesome. That's also a great discipline tool to try to distract your child by offering something else or doing something else to get their minds off of one thing. I would say redirecting is probably right after ignoring, or even probably first, try to redirect them to do something else or pay attention to something else, or, oh, let's go for a walk, to try to get their minds off of whatever they were focused on. And then if that doesn't work, to then try ignoring. The only challenge is that your child is on the table. That to me is unsafe. So I wouldn't allow her to be on the table. I would physically remove her from the table because she can hurt herself. And then you said, I think you should continue to redirect and set boundaries. And again, get to the root cause of the behavior. Is it attention seeking? I feel like when a kid climbs on the table and starts throwing things off, it's just to be like my baby daughter does, is look at me, I got this, and I'm throwing it off, and I want you to see me throw it off, and then I want to see your face go, and that's getting your attention. If that's something that is rendering your attention and you're paying a lot of attention, then I'm going to ask you to not ignore it in a way that you're allowing her to sit at the table, on top of a table, because that's unsafe, but try to praise the heck out of her when she's not sitting on the table. Pay attention to all the moments in which she's doing exactly what you're asking her to do, and let her know that you're getting all this attention from me because you're doing exactly what it is I want you to do. Fuel her source of needing attention and see if that shifts it. But continue to set boundaries and try to redirect. I think you're being super appropriate. Yep. My village is out here also offering some great advice, making sure that parents are giving the language and the tools for kids to be able to understand and to problem solve and to use their words. That's awesome, awesome advice, Ali. I love it. Someone talked about positive affirmations. I love affirmations. When we talk about language, I always talk about, our words matter. And that's so true. And so affirmations are a good direct way to feed exactly what we want into our children. So yes, we want to fuel them with positivity to let them know that they're deserving. They deserve it. They deserve to feel at their best selves. Especially from the people who say they love the most, which is parents. They deserve to hear that from us, because a lot of times we send our children out in the world and they don't get those same messages. So it's really important that as parents, we affirm positivity into our children, because when they walk out of our doors and life is not so easy and people can be mean and kids can be mean at schools, the big issues with bullying in our culture, and social media bullying, and we have to give our kids the ability to feel like their best self so they can fight those battles without us, and knowing that, what, I am capable, I am good, I am worthy, and I believe that. Well, it seems as if the live has dwindled a little bit. I appreciate you guys for being here with me today. We will continue to meet here weekly on Mondays. Again, I appreciate your presence, your time, your commitment. And I want us to continue this journey together. Continue to DM me. I have more goals to meet. I have more things that I want to offer you. I'm trying to put all of this in fruition. You guys really validate that the movement and the risk that I'm willing to take to cultivate my business and expertise is warranted. And I appreciate that. And so have a good night. And I will see you next week. All right. Bye.